And start our city council meeting for September 4th, 2024. The time is 6 o'clock. We do have a full council. Council Hyatt is online with us, so we have all of our council members with us. I will open this meeting with prayer. Before the members, we come before the at this time, we're so very thankful for the blessings that thou hast bestowed on us individually and on our city, our state, and our country as well. Father, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to guide this city as council and citizens. Help us to be wise and make wise decisions. Help us, Father, and all that we say and do, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Council Ann Moss is going to lead some pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you. This is a really nice sight to see it. We don't see it often, this many people in the city council chamber, so thank you for being here. Moving on to C, consent agenda. The approval of the August 21st, 2024 city council minutes. Number 2, resolution, Utah County interlocal agreement regarding communities that care and substance misuse prevention. And number 3, resolution, West Central Strike Force agreement. Council, unless there's any discussion on these items, so I'm ready for a motion.
I have a question for Chief Bishop, that's okay.
You bet.
Chief, just on this West Central Strike Force agreement, is this a new group, or because one place it talked about it act like it was new, and then another place talked about one county want to come back in?
It's not new, but the Millard, GWAB, and Sanpete County Task Force, Sanpete and Millard dropped out. That gave opportunity for San Quinn and Salem and Payson to jump in.
Okay.
As kind of a part-time thing, just to share resources and stuff like that. So it's not a new task force. It's just
New to us.
Just new to us. We're a member of the Utah County Major Crimes as well. So this is just us joining forces with GWAB and San Quinn.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion, questions? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt, and she's online, so don't forget her. Council Hyatt, you here?
Yes.
Okay. Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Hewitt.
Yes.
And Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Going on petitions. Number 1, this is a good one to see. Presentation of new police officer and oath of office. Chief, are you ready for that? How about the judge? Judge here.
Yeah, we're just Officer Taylor. Sorry. Sally, come on up here. He's brand new, just graduated from Police Academy a few weeks ago. He comes to us, and we grew up in Woodland Hills, and we're happy to have him. So, Judge, if you don't mind swearing him in, we appreciate it.
We won't hold that against you, being from Little Hills.
I state your full name.
I, Taylor Holmes Cowley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the laws and ordinances of Payson City,
and the laws and ordinances of Payson City,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 2. Communities that Care, Mayor's Youth Recognition Award. Shelby, are you here? Yep, you are.
Say your name, please. Come up. The Mayor Youth Recognition nominee for September from Mount Nebo Middle School is Owen Grishinsky.
Come on up here and stand right next to me.
He is an all-around amazing student who works hard to get excellent grades. Mrs. Pearson said, Owen is a wonderful student and an incredible young man. He works hard to learn as much as he can in school and always does his very best work. He is talented in so many ways and really uses those talents to better our world. Owen is kind to everyone he meets and makes the classroom a safe and positive place to be for all. He has a big future and will make a positive impact on those he comes in contact with. Keep up the good work, Owen.
Okay, moving on, number 3, Yard of the Month, Councilmember Moss, you're up.
Okay, Mayor and Council, I'd like to present this month's Certificate of Appreciation for Yard of the Month to Douglas and Annette Lovelace. And they get a $100 gift certificate to Olson's Gardens. If they can come up and accept this award. Right in the middle. Okay. Oh, lovely. Yes.
Yes, I'll volunteer.
Doug wants the narrow lens. Thank you. Well,
Okay, moving right along, number 4, Bay Committee Annual Update. Stephen, Park Tax Committee Chair. Yeah. Well, it's okay, that's what Bay Committee Chair.
So I have some slides, I don't know.
So this is, yeah, our annual update from the 4-Bay committee. If you want to jump to slide 2. Just, yeah, okay, so quick overview of the 4-Bay committee. I know there's some new council members. So this was created about 2.5 years ago at the beginning of 2022. Consists of members appointed by the mayor and city council, and each committee member serves a 2-year term, with 2 to 3 members being replaced or reselected each year. They can run again if they're, apply again if they're interested. We also have participation from city employees and council members. We've had meetings basically every month since February of 2022, and the purpose is the oversight of use and growth of the city-owned 4-Bay property at the canyon. It's a fantastic recreation area, and then in implementing the management plan of that area. So just a little background there, and then go ahead and jump to the next slide. So today, some of these have occurred prior to just this last year, but over the 2 years, 2.5 years that we've existed. So there's new parking lot up there with restrooms, I'm sure everyone's aware of. We've got benches that have been installed and tables, security cameras up there. The committee has overseen trail maintenance with volunteers, created some additional trails. We've seen some significant vegetation restoration, especially the far border of the property near Elk Ridge, where we've cut off vehicular access. So we've seen a lot of vegetation come back. There's consistent material use of the property all year round. My favorite time to go up there is in the winter. You know, we've got some trail grooming for some of the main trails, and it's great to go up there, snowshoe if there's enough snow, or bike. I'm not a biker, but I know people do that a lot in the winter time as well. We purchased some maintenance equipment for the 4-Bay committee, so we can go up and take care of the trails better. Recently, we've had one dedicated part-time employee for the property there. We've got funding from the park tax, the UWard grant, and then I think some other grants. I'm not 100% sure, but various sources of funding to accomplish some of those projects there. Jump ahead to the next one. All right, so as far as maintenance goes, there's trail trimming and maintenance. This is the same thing, the same slide that was presented before. Definitely, it takes a lot to keep the vegetation from overgrowing the trails. The Nebo bike team has done a lot of trail work there. Whoa. Jumping ahead. Maintenance isn't that.
I wasn't
that's
trying to
fine.
hurt you.
No, that's- yeah. Restroom repairs, graffiti, and vandalism unfortunately happens a lot. Hopefully that's been curbed a little bit once we've got the security cameras up there. But those are the things that need to be done and are done between the parks department as well as the volunteers and the dedicated part-time employee there. Jump ahead one more. So things that we're currently discussing, working on, some of these might require additional approval or funding. There's a good portion of the property that hasn't been developed. One of the things we're discussing putting there is a skills park, additional parking to accommodate trailers. The small parking lot that we have up there is pretty tight for trailers and takes up pretty much the whole parking lot when there are trailers there. Additional trails in the upper 4-Bay section, which we need approval for there. And then we've talked about doing things like a trail run as part of Adventure Days, but definitely it's a very valuable asset for the city with the Home to Adventure theme there. I know we've got approval or we've got funding to have a skills park designed. Obviously, we need to continue to work through getting all that built and implemented there. And then some additional things, ongoing work events. So actually, next week, there's a day of caring from the United Way. There's our co-chair of the 4-Bay committee has connections there. So they're expecting about 20 volunteers for 2 to 3 hours to go up and do some work up on the property. We've also planned a field trip to go visit the property as a group with the 4-Bay committee is in any city council that's interested to head up there. We've got ongoing discussions with the Cattlemen's Association regarding that dirt parking lot that's on a little bit below the existing parking lot on the opposite side of the road to see how we can use that and make that more accessible to everybody. And then the last thing, the primary focus of the committee, conservation, is keeping that property available for public use. So the big thing there, so previously was listed as surplus status. I don't know all the details behind all that, but it's been removed from surplus status, so big thank you to the folks on the city council and whoever else helped contribute that, so it's no longer listed as surplus. And then we've had a lot of conversations within the committee about a conservation easement. That seems to be what a lot of areas have done. Lehigh, Draper, they have similar, trails and a lot of other areas. We actually had a member from Lehigh City Council and some of their staff come down to our last 4-bay meeting a few weeks ago to help discuss their process, the pros and cons of conservation easement, roadblocks that they see, that they experience, and just kind of give some general guidance on the process. So I think that was super helpful to have them come down. And I think we've made a lot of progress of being able to have a draft to present and discuss at large. So that's really all I've got prepared. Any questions?
Any questions, council?
I just have one thing. I was just at the outdoor recreation conference last week, and they do have a trails crew that can help maintain trails that you just sign up for, so it's no cost. But what else of that?
Okay.
Devin, thank you so much for all the work you and the 4-Bay committee do. I love that area. I feel a sense of urgency. We need to get that into conservation easement. So you guys please keep working towards that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And shoot me an email with ideas of what you guys want to see, and let's tweak it and make it happen.
Absolutely.
And maintain and preserve that area for recreation.
Yeah.
And then also, when you talk about the skills track, is that the same as a pump track, or is that different?
I'm gonna defer to Carl. I'm the resident trail runner. I don't know.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay. I wonder how jealous we should be of Santa Quinn's new
So,
pump track.
well, Santa Quinn has a skills park, and a pump track is one that you jump on, and once you're going, you don't really pedal, you just maneuver the bike in the transitions to
Okay.
go. But a pump track is often part of a skills park.
Okay,
So if
excellent.
you were in the Park City Trailside Park, they've got skills park trails from beginner to expert, plus they have a pump track in that location.
So will our skills track include a pump track?
I think it could for sure if we get access to that area where bikers or from the parking lot, they can get there quickly. If not, people have talked about, do you put a pump track in the middle of 4-Bay? And a pump track's really not something you're gonna ride your bike a mile to use. It's more like you're gonna drive to it and use the pump track. But a skills park, however, will have obstacles and features, and you might learn how to go over a rocky section. You might learn to go over a wooden bridge. There'll be walls or, berms built out of wood and that type of thing, or dirt berms. So it's really a place to just go around over and over, shorter trails, but with a lot of features and learning capabilities. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Carl.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the event on the 12th is going to be part of the National Day of Volunteerism. Is that what that's going to be? Okay, thank you.
And are you guys good if we start designing the trail in the upper spot towards Bear Canyon? I think part of the UR grant that Brian wrote was to provide funding for that. So
Yeah, let's get some more trails.
Council, sounds like a plan, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Devin.
Okay, moving on again, number 5, public forum. Anyone can speak in the public forum. Please be cognizant of your time, and we'll be glad to listen to your comments if you're so inclined. Come on up. Please identify yourself, and we'll be glad to hear you.
Really glad. My name is Sharif Alamis. My husband and I have owned Lou's Barber Shop, previously owned by Taylor Sturl in 1947. Then Norm Coons from 69 to 96, and then we moved in. We love Payson. I care about Payson. You guys are in trouble.
Oh,
I'm going to give you my report card on this city project downtown. It's an F and F. Why? Because you are my government. That young man stood here, and what did he swear an oath to? I've never taken that oath almost in the military. What does that oath talk about? The Constitution, right? You represent us, but you work for us. What did you do for the small businesses on Main Street and Utah Ave during this last Here, sirs and ma'am. What did you do for us? Let me tell you what you did to us. Now, I love that rigor. I love what you did. It's beautiful, not practical, sirs. Not practical. First of all, I've had many customers hit on that street because no one obeys 10 miles an hour because you guys are too busy patrolling down near the high school. I've gotten so many tickets on Main Street. I paid my dues. When I break the law, I pay my dues. But when you hurt people, do you pay any dues? What does it cost you this last year? Have you lost any money? Have you cut off all your services and all your benefits to your family? Have you lost your job?
Keep it
Sorry,
civil,
sorry.
please,
Okay.
okay? We're here to listen, but
I
keep
know,
it civil.
I know. I know, going on 8 businesses out of 32 of my neighbors, my coworkers, our city members that have lost their businesses. And we're not talking about just a door that you don't go to anymore. I'm talking about a family that lost their income. I'm talking about workers that lost their jobs. I'm talking about landlords that lost rent. And maybe owners that lost buildings. Did you take that into consideration? Well, you're too busy making us put signs on the back of our entrances because we couldn't access the front of our businesses to live. You charged us for permits. Couldn't you waive that? Even if it was $64. Well, $64 is a bill for me. Half of my phone bill. Did it cost you half of your phone bill? And then I happen to have common use wall in my building because my building, the roof was built in 1947 between 2 walls, not mine. I have use of those walls. I put my sign up in the back. Your officers brought it back to me, thank goodness. I love your officers when they serve me, not when they're making money for me, for you. They told me to take it down because I didn't have a permit. I come down here, I get a permit. I got the permit after Main Street was open. Thank you very much. How many signs did you guys put out on the streets telling our public how to get to our businesses? That man over there, he put a few signs in. Did you? You put caution signs and yellow cone, orange cones. What did you do for us, guys? We had meetings. Yes, I didn't go to the meetings because that is your job. I trust you to take care of our city. But you didn't serve me as my government. You didn't serve the Constitution in my eyes because you hurt us. Some of us will never return. Now, Louis and I will stay. We're going to bounce back because we paid for our clientele and they'll stick with us, even though they've been inconvenienced. They were selfish. They didn't support us, but we'll make it. But what about the next shop that goes out? Maybe this next month. What about them? And Louis, he loves to obey the law. So we did all the permits. $64 to put a sticker on the back door that we had to change so people would not stop knocking on our door to see if they could come in. Because there's no windows back there. I tried to make it beautiful for the city to come, for kids to come back there and take pictures and family pictures in the back of our shop. And people have come and they've commented. But what have you guys done? Now, I do not envy your position. I would never work in politics. And I'm not blaming you, you were selfish, but you didn't do your job. Now, we're heading into a major change in this town. Our taxes are going up, by the way. 2 colleges and front runner in the next 3 to 5 years, sirs and ma'am. We're changing. This is growing pains. How many more projects are you going to mismanage? Beautiful, but not practical. How come when you put in the condos and the apartments down there, it's not wide enough for all the extra cars that don't have any parking, that may be parking in the dirt? They did just in Provo too. Whose idea is this? The UN's? Smart cities or something? Because I worked ambulance. I've been on fire engines. There's not enough room to get in there with all those parked cars during a party. What are you going to do to save lives, guys? You're not thinking ahead. You have short-sightedness. You took parking away. You took 30 parking spaces and made them 18, 16, 16 parking spaces out of 30. You took a wider road that people would go around cars when they didn't want to go 10 miles an hour and wait for someone to back out. How are you supposed to back out? You can't see that my customer gets hit. And it's his fault. Is he supposed to back out and run out back here? Go, okay, get back. Oh, it is me that's driving. No, that makes no sense at all. Now we have parallel parking. Kids don't even know how to parallel park. But are they gonna go 10 miles an hour? You're asking people to back into this 30-mile-an-hour traffic and maneuver a swing around. Guys, you're not thinking it through. I've told all my customers, never park on Main Street unless you want to hit. How do my customers that have walkers get across that flower bed in the snow? Think things through, guys. I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank
Frank.
you.
This is designed to say your piece, and so that we appreciate you doing that.
Good luck, because we're growing, guys. We're growing.
We realize,
We're gonna have a lot of those projects.
we
I
realize.
hope more people survive them.
Anyone else like to take advantage of the public forum? Anybody online? Okay. We'll go ahead.
Is there one?
Is there one? Oh, come on up. Don't be shy. No, just come on up and let us know who you are. You're fine. You're fine.
Anyway, my name is Bunty Quist, and my sister Colette and I own the commercial place. And we're asking that you allow my niece Frances, who is a fabulous artist, open her business in the back place of our commercial place building. I know it's the downtown area, but we went before the planning and zoning last week, and they rearranged things and okayed it. They said it would be up to you guys, but we just think that it's time that we make some changes. Body art is so accepted. It doesn't have the same stigma. And Franny and Adrian, they want to do a place that's welcoming to women in particular. Because, I mean, I've got tattoos, probably half of this audience does. And it's not always that comfortable going in kind of a male-dominated situation. Anyway,
If
so,
they looked at it and are going forward, we'll definitely take a look at that. Absolutely.
okay, great.
It's on the agenda.
Tonight?
Oh, it's number 2.
Oh, that's
Number
okay.
two. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Buffy. You might have the same level of energy as the previous.
And that's okay. This is what the public forum designed for. Sometimes people are more animated than others. You got something? Come on up. Don't have to raise your hand, just come on up.
A little bit hard to follow. My name is Caroline Ashby. I live here in Payson. I'm proud to be in Payson. I have had a little bit of foresight, some of the problems that we are having as far as the young lady with the colored hair. I don't know her name, what she was addressing. Kind of seen some of those things coming as I've been a part of Utah County, and I've watched Pleasant Grove, Provo, Orem, all orchards go down, buildings go up. So I've kind of sensed a lot of this coming. Oh, I look kind of funny in overalls and a big
You look-
hat.
you look just fine. Just fine.
Right from job to job to job. But I just wanted to mention, and I know we know each other, Mayor. There are loads of complaints that it could drop at your feet, and there are many ways that there could be pointed fingers at things that have happened. If there's a way that we can get ahead of anything else that may be foreseen, like she had mentioned with the colleges and with the front runner.
Yep.
I don't know what we can do about what has happened to the businesses on Main Street, how people been inconvenienced, how difficult have things have been. But if there's any way, as you know, I'm ready and available, and I'm planted here. I'm married to the land here, and I would be happy to be a part of that discussion and help in any way that I can. So I know that there's a lot of problems. I'm just wanting to stand up and say hello, and I would be happy to help with any solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
One thing, and this isn't really designed for us to solve any problems right here, but one thing I do want to mention is that when I mentioned that the very first of this council meeting, we very rarely see this many people in the city council meeting. We reach out all the time and try to be just as open and accessible as we possibly can, transparent is the word I was looking for. But it takes you folks to get engaged. Many times there's nobody here to get engaged, and we reach out, and that's a little bit of frustration on our part, but that doesn't mean we don't try, and that doesn't mean we can't work together in the future, so thank you. Okay, anyone else? Come on up.
My name's Tom Forbush. I'm David Breeze. One of the biggest, well, I have a couple concerns. Signs coming on Main Street, telling no right or left-hand turn, so it's one-way street. There was 4 cars on there going the wrong direction this morning. 2 of them almost got hit. I know right there, last chance, they come out, they turn right, they go to the stoplight, there's no stoplight. I don't know when, if we're getting signs up,
We will.
My other concern is the parallel parking on the left side of the road. And I know it's the parents' responsibility to watch their kids. Kids swing those doors open and step out, there's cars right there. I've seen brakes get slammed on from my head kids. I don't know how we can fix that, or if we can, but that's a major concern. Then the fire hydrant right there in front of the Morris's Loyalty, that's kind of right in the parking lanes.
We've had some discussions about that.
Okay. Other than that, great job, you guys. I appreciate it. Just 2 concerns.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the only way we know your concerns is we interact with us. So we do appreciate it, even if you get a little animated sometimes. So thank you. Anyone else? Kim, anybody online? Moving on. We'll go to staff reports. Anyone from the staff would like to get up and that's not right. Hey.
Hey, council, today we, the mayor and I and Carl and Robert were at the League of Cities and Towns. They did present us with the Help the Utah Community. We've been designated as Help the Utah Community. It's a 3-year program. There's things that we are doing. We'll continue to work on that, but it was good. There were 9 cities that were added to a Help the Utah list, and there were 6 other communities that re-upped after the 3 years. So we're glad to be part of that. We're always looking for things to help with recreation, mental health, physical health, and other things like that. So it was a good honor. The mayor was on a little video, so it worked out well. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you, Dave. The other staff. Oh, Janine, come on up.
Mayor and Council, I just want to thank you for your support during Golden Onion Days. So I want to do a couple of shout outs. I want to thank Brad Curl. I called him several times this weekend, so thank you so much. He saved us a couple of times there. So Friday is the most stressful day for a lot of us. Kim knows. Kim was patient with me on Friday. We bring in all the vendors that day. So 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and you have over 100 people driving their cars in there and try to set up at the same time. Kim knows I was in the zone, and she was so good to just like come stay right with me, and we were good enough to get all that done. So anyway, I also want to thank Ashley Christensen because he's the manpower, and And of course, the other park crew for helping us get everyone in. And thank you for your help with the fireside. You did a great job. So, and it was fun to see Dave around the park all this whole weekend because he had grandkids in town. And guess where they wanted to be? With me. No, just kidding. Anyway, so our next event is just in 2 weeks, if you can believe that. So September 21st, it's on a Saturday, Festival Latino de Payson. It'll be at the amphitheater and it'll be from noon until 9 p.m. It's free to get in. There's music. It's beautiful dancing, and we'll also have the food and merchandise vendors, and it's just a really fun afternoon. So, any questions?
One statement I wasn't at the fireside, sorry, because my granddaughter's birthday, so that's why.
Very good. All right, anything else?
Thank you, Janine. Good job.
Thanks. Janine does a great job. It's the major undertaking to do the events that we have in town. We have more events, I think, than most towns, so we depend on quite a little bit. So thank you, Janine.
I know Sport Utah says we have the most events of any city in Utah County. So.
Any other staff? If not, we'll move on to Council Christensen.
I do appreciate the constructive insight into Main Street. When you had mentioned opening the right-hand doors, we looked at that 100 times and never once thought about kids exiting out that side of the car as being a problem. Like I say, hindsight's 20/20. Best we can do is hope for maybe a warning sign or something. Right-hand turns out of your gas station typically is a concern. I've seen a few of those in my days. Hopefully we can find a way to curb that. People understand they can't go out that direction, especially with it narrow. Before it wasn't so bad, you could kind of fake it and get around them, but it's a one car, one shot. It definitely, I felt a little bit insulted myself that we were not taking into consideration businesses on Main Street, because I think that was our main objective in this. We had some infrastructure problems. We got a grant from the state to fix the underlying problems. And then we seeked out and found a little bit of money here and there, some other grants to beautify the top of it while we had it all tore up, with the sole purpose of providing an environment that was inviting to people to shop on Main Street. We cut down on the parking. We worried about that. We talked about it. We had planned on doing 4 parking lots around the outside. We were only able to do 1. The prices were absorbed. It was a really expensive project. But as a city council, that was our objective, was trying to revitalize that area and save those businesses. And we apologize. It took longer than we had planned. And didn't have quite as many grants in place as we probably should have. There was money out there to help them to revitalize their businesses as well. Hopefully it will continue to grow in the downtown area, and it will become a place where people want to bring in new businesses, and we can fill some of those empty stores. But as far as Onion Days go, yes, thank you, Ashley. He's always great. There is a lot down there. I had to get there early because I was told that if I didn't get in there early, I wasn't getting. My wife has a bake shop here in town and a bakery, and so I had to get down there way early to beat the crowds, or I wasn't getting my trailer in. And it is fun to see all of that going on. The new sidewalks that they've done in the last year through Parks grants have made it really nice to have not 4-foot wide sidewalks, but rather 8 foot. So most of the cars could drive on concrete. Hopefully it was good for everybody. It was a lot of walking on Monday. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still pretty sore. It was like my annual allotment of walking in one day. But thank you, Janine. We'd fall flat on our face without you, and we really appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you guys much. Sorry about that.
Hey, Brian.
So yeah, dittos to Janine and all she does for the city. She does a great job, so thank you. Couple of things. One is on parking. There are less parking
spots on Main Street itself, but we restriped, I think it's first, east. And we added like 50 parking spots. We added actually more parking spots that were taken away, and it's 1 block away or half a block away. I mean, if you go to the mall, you try to walk 3 or 4 blocks to get to the store. So we did do that. So a couple other things. One is I think, Carl, weren't you the one that did the Healthy Utah, kind of put that together? So thank you very much for getting that done for the city. I think it's great for the city to be a Healthy Utah city. And then one of the things, this is for the downtown. We're working with UVU. There's a class that's called The Art of Building Cities. And we're going to be working with them on trying to work on the downtown, make it more attractive, marketing and things like that. So we're going to have the professor will be here on Tuesday. We're going to talk with him, and then they'll have a group project for helping the downtown area. So we always are cognizant of the downtown. That's going to be the heart and soul of our city. We know that as we grow, we want that to be a beautiful place that people could say, this is Payson City. So anyway, we're excited about that.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all the residents that are here tonight. Like the mayor said, we truly get all of our best ideas from you. So really, when you see something that seems wrong, please speak up when you have ideas. I wish Sherry could have stuck around so we could address some of her concerns or valid concerns. But the whole reason we did the downtown project was for the business owners. That's the only reason. We replaced the utilities. We did new landscape, new streetscape for them, so we can make a destination, not just a busy through street, but somewhere that people can stop and enjoy. And yes, we removed some parking, but we also acquired the parking behind the old Wells Fargo building that's now the ERA building. That added a whole bunch of spots down there. But I know it's been tough for the businesses. I hope they can bounce back. I hope we can all take pride and shop local, but that's on us to do that. I'm so thankful to Janine again. We can't sing your praises enough. That was a big weekend. I hope you stay here at least 20 more years, have 20 more onion days left in you. We don't know what we'd do without you. It was great. I loved it. The fireworks were spectacular. All the events, the band concert on Sunday was packed, all the vendors. Thank you to all the residents that came and supported, and also those that used to live in Payson that come home for that weekend. That is truly just a wonderful weekend. The smell of carny folk and onions permeate the air, and it's wonderful. I want to say too that I had a chance to spend some time with Sean at the power plant today, and we started tearing down the old generators to prep for our new Caterpillar generators, as I'm really excited for. And thank you to the power department for all you guys do. I also got to give a shout out to them. Rather than hiring out to tear down those big, massive generators, they did it in-house and saved us thousands, tens of thousands of dollars by doing that. So please thank you guys for doing such a wonderful job down there at the power plant. We're grateful for that. And then I also went over and snooped around at the sewer treatment plant. See, is Travis still in here? Yeah, and that's looking good. Lots of concrete and rebar, and that's coming right along. So I'm thankful that it's frustrating as residents when we pay a bunch of money for stuff we can't see, but I promise stuff like power and utilities and sewer, oh, they're so important. And just know your money is being spent just as prudently and as well as we can do to get those projects done cost effective, but also to think of the future and have a self-reliant city with utilities that don't raise absorbently every year, but that are self-contained and we control. So I'm just so thankful to be part of Payson, and thank you to all the wonderful residents that I get to spend time with. Thank you, Mayor.
I might mention real quick, since Council Rowley mentioned this with Sean, the reason we're getting those generators is to help secure a very more equal monthly payment for the ratepayers. So that's the main focus there, and that's going to help us in the future, as I said, that we do view the future. If you notice with public forum, the public forum is the time for you to come and express your views. And I apologize, for had to make sure that it was just a little bit more presentable to everybody. But it is a hard chore to get all the information out to people that are very, very busy. And we need your interaction with us. It's not something that we're hiding from anybody. That Main Street had not been addressed for 80 to 100 years. The infrastructure was so brittle that it broke, as they were trying to take the dirt off of the infrastructure, there were at least 4 times that the pipes broke. We had no control over it. We're trying to avert a major disaster that we're staring right in the face. We did try to make the money available. It's the community block grant. I'm on that committee over at the MAG office, and we made available $200,000 for the business owners to be able to access. It is federal money, and so there's some strings attached to it. So there's some hesitancy to take advantage of that. We also made $100,000 available to the business owners to help their facade, help the back part of their businesses to be able to be more accessible to people that are parking back there. So, you know, and then also usually it's the responsibility of the business owners to take it from the meter into their business. They were so brittle that we went ahead and paid for that. That was like $55,000 that the city paid for each and every one of those businesses, so they did not have to withstand that cost. Again, that was a substantial amount of money that each individual business that did not have to pay for. So, you know, nobody's perfect. We try to do it as best as we can, but please rest assured that we feel people's pain. You know, when businesses do not do well, we don't get the money to be able to run our city on as well. So hopefully everybody can be patient and understand we're not perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to address the Main Street issues. Sometimes in the design process, design flaws don't manifest until it's actually all made, and so I feel their pain. I imagine that some things will be changed over time. I'm sorry about those businesses. We tried to do everything that we could to help them. But it will be a good place, and it really does look beautiful. I'd like to talk about Golden Onion Days. Thank you, Janine. I'd like to echo everything that everyone said. There was so much going on, and my husband and I were able to enjoy a lot of it, and it was so fun to just observe everyone enjoying themselves and just sit back and just watch people. I'm a people watcher, and the smiles and the laughter and just everyone just socializing, it was really fun. So thank you to everyone that made that happen. Payson is an amazing place, and if you really want true entertainment during Onion Days, go observe the slip and slide at Petitini. That is so funny. And we might need a longer slide. They slid off several feet into the mud and grass. But that was fun. Yeah, they looked like they were having fun. So thanks to everyone that did that, and that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Teresa.
Yeah, I
Sorry
just
I
wanted
made you
to,
laugh.
no, that's okay. Friday I was there on Main Street, and I can actually say in all the years I've been in Payson, I have never seen that many people on Main Street just walking up and down. I mean, I just sat there and watched them and thought, I've never seen this. You know, and the library had their little booth set up, and there was another little booth to that, and I just thought they have plenty of space to set up now, and there's plenty of room for people to walk, and they were really enjoying Main Street. So, you know, I know we've had some issues, but people were there, and I was at Thor's office, and so I could just sit there and just watch them. That was just amazing. I was just amazed. Like I said, in all the years I've lived there, I've never seen that many people on Main Street at the same time. And yeah, ditto to Janine. You guys have all pretty much covered that, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Teresa.
Can I interject something there really
Please.
quick? I know I took more than my fair share of time, but
Well, you always do.
I know I always do. But I wanted a special shout out. We have the owner of Daily Freeze here, and I don't know if everybody realizes this, but he really was the access to a lot of businesses back there, and I'm sure it was not convenient for him, but I just personally wanted to say thank you. for allowing that access through there. That was on private drives, but it really, really made a difference as we went through this. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Don.
Team player, thank you.
Yes.
We recognize that. Sometimes we don't say it the way we should, but we
I'd
recognize.
have felt bad if I'd have forgot.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, moving on. We'll go to action items, ordinance, request to apply the infill overlay to 844 east, 200 north in the R17.5 residential zone to allow reduced frontage for two lot subdivision. Wayne Vita subdivision. Okay, Michael.
So this is for a two-lot subdivision. To get you oriented, map of the city here. So you can see where the person clicked right here. This is the property. It's a vacant property here. This is 200 north, and this is 800 east here, 900 east on the other side. So as you saw in your packets, this is what the applicant's proposing to do, is to divide that large parcel into two smaller narrow parcels. In order to do that, they need an infill overlay because both of these parcels will be only 65 feet, or, well, one will be 66, the other will be 65 feet of frontage, and this current zone requires 75 feet. In all other aspects, these lots will actually be much larger than the minimum lot size within the zone. Subdivisions are an administrative process now by staff, but since it's applying the overlay, that's why we're bringing it here to you tonight. So this has gone to Planning Commission, and it received a positive recommendation for the approval of the overlay. Staff is recommending approval for this. Ultimately, findings could include some of those bullet points that I've listed here, but I'll turn the time over to the council and mayor if you have any questions on this.
Questions, council?
I didn't see what zoning in the packet, what would be. So this is just an overlay zone. The zone will remain the same, and the overlay will just allow for this reduced frontage on the street.
Okay, so not changing zoning, just the overlay.
Just the overlay.
Frontage, okay.
So this is the block that currently has Domino's Pizza, right?
I know that the
Go back to that.
there's a Mexican restaurant on the side of it there, on
Those-
800 east.
On the back side, yeah, the north side of that lot.
Yeah, I'm just trying to,
Yeah,
just
so
trying to
here's,
orient myself.
this is the restaurant right here.
Yeah.
The highway.
Post office is over here.
I just was concerned for the residents that are there. I didn't want all of a sudden some really narrow, skinny lots in there when it was, you know, big half-acre lots for everybody else, but I don't have a problem in my opinion.
They cover
Consider
weed packs that sits there.
Yeah, have we had any input from the neighbors? Is there anybody that was majorly opposed to it? It is a big, I know we've done this once over on, was it Second East or it was the other way, yeah, Second East. But we only cut it in like a foot or two on each lot, so, but I mean, 10's a lot farther. Was there any pushback? Did it go to open?
It went to planning commission with a public hearing. There was no opposition in that regard. There was a individual that lives right here, and he owns this vacant parcel in the back. He had a handshake agreement with the property owner to access through this property to this rear lot of his.
Okay.
But
that was the only person that had any.
And there's no right of way jurisdiction that would
No.
apply to it based upon
No.
that it's not really an accessible road.
Correct.
He still has potential to access it from his own property, so.
So he's limited from his own property, but
Yeah, you can't.
Knock a wall down, huh?
You can
And it'd be single family homes.
yes, single family homes.
buy a 10-foot easement off the back property and come through that parking lot would be about his only other option.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I like about this, I like this a lot better than the flag lot, and they could get a flag lot without even doing the overlay, right?
No, they would need to overlay for that as well, and that's how it was originally proposed to planning commission, with staff making the recommendation of doing something like what you see tonight. And so the applicant went back and kind of reworked that and determined they wanted to do that opposed to a flag lot.
Yeah, I think there's a lot, even they're narrow, but they're big lots, so I think it's a lot better than flag lot.
A lot better, yes. And I think these are,
Over a quarter acre, 0.27.
yeah, I think they're over 11,000 square feet or something like that.
Long and skinny.
And it
Makes
gets
it
rid of a.
funny
a
looking
weed
house
patch.
though. It's all garage on the front of it.
Council, any further? Okay, thank you, Michael. If there's no other, discussion, council, I'm ready for a motion.
I can make a motion, we, apply the I-1 overlay, infill overlay to 844 east, 200 north. In the R1 point to 7.5 residential loan to allow reduced frontage for a 2-lot subdivision. And with, any findings.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion been seconded, roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt,
Yes.
Council Moss,
Yes.
Council Rowley,
Yes.
Council Hewitt.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. Going on to number 2, ordinance amendment to Title 13 zoning appendix A, central commercial. Michael, you're still up.
We do both of these at the same time.
So yes, these are affecting the exact same document. One of them is the woman that came up earlier talking about, and it's for this item right here where tattooing and body art was previously not permitted in the central commercial zone. This applicant put in their application requesting that. You saw in your packets the justification they had. Some of the interesting language was from the state of Utah and how permanent cosmetics and tattooing are regulated. And I don't know if you were able to read that, but it's near identical. So staff was okay with a positive recommendation for this. And then if you'd like, we can briefly go over the other sections for, I guess it's item number 3. So whatever you'd like to do.
Go ahead and do that. I think that'd be okay. Then we can, we'll handle the separate issues, right? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't want to go through the entirety of this with you on each one, but if you have a question, then you're welcome to stop me and we can talk about those. So this is the Appendix A, and one thing you'll notice is this is the individual zones here at the top, but as you scroll, those things are not there. And so staff is just doing a clerical thing to actually add those in each section. And so you'll see that throughout. Otherwise, with the applicant that gave us the information for the tattooing and body art, we did some additional review of sections of this, and we plan to do that with the remaining section of this in the future. So I will scroll through that and let you see those things, and please stop if you have any questions. You can see this is, for example, what we propose to do is to put each of the zones in each of those sections like that.
While you're looking at proposals of changing and putting that there, I would also propose that we put what each one of those zoning districts is, like the professional office, so it's in the heading someplace, so I don't have to go look it up every time, because I don't remember all those.
Are you saying like?
Right up there.
Here somewhere?
Yeah, but put what each one is.
Okay. So at least the name of each one there.
Right,
Kind of like a ledger.
Sure.
On what? Yeah. Say what it allows, that's what the document says, so.
So continue on to the actual changes. Those are just the clericals you're seeing thus far. Most of these pages that don't have any changes, we've already discussed with planning commission and council in a previous meeting for any proposed changes. So I'll get to the ones eventually here. First one, we got rid of driving schools entirely. We didn't feel as if driving schools are a thing that needs to necessarily be a use within a zone, but maybe council feels differently. You can see sometimes we changed language from independent, we decided to call that private schools. You can see, for example, also that it's been included in a few of the other areas. In this area, you can see permitted for these different items in the professional office zone.
Where would the driving schools be eliminated from that now? Where would the driving schools allowed?
Well, that's the thing. If we're eliminating in the sense that we didn't feel as if it's a need to have that in the city. And so we're just eliminating entirely. But if that's something the council feels there is a need for, then there's no reason.
I've seen some, I mean, that would depend on what you're defining as a driving school. Cause I know that Spanish Fork had one, I had a buddy that ran over there that would just teach kids how to drive cars, and it was a little faster and sometimes easier. Now, big rig driving schools would be different.
I think that's the intent of the definition, and that's why those first two Ps there by the driving school, those are industrial zones.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the intent, was to be more of a industrial based, large truck type schools, so again.
Agree that cutting it off entirely based upon that, I don't.
Would we, I mean, most of the driving school jobs are going to be the practical application of it, but some of it's what work that the driving school would have to do to the office work.
And that would just be office work, so it wouldn't necessarily.
So what do you think, a range, like
I would put that more in a professional office or something like that, but the actual school and the facilities to do the driving and stuff, that would be potentially elsewhere.
I think most of your driving schools will probably be home businesses anyway. They just,
I would think so.
do it out of their home, and that's permitted, so.
Are we allowed to give information about things that might help?
It's actually not a public hearing, but how long, what's the information?
When they redid the school.
Come on up to the real quickly.
On your way up here, I just Googled, there are 10 different driving schools in Utah County, just on Google.
Thank
Well,
you.
my name is Amy Young. I'm just a citizen. But going along with the driving schools, when they redid Payson High School, they took away the driving range, and that driving range used to be a range to get your CDL license, but there's no longer space for that anymore. So if that sways your opinion one way or the other, I have no opinion on this whatsoever. I just thought that I would.
We're
There's
aware
not
of
a
it.
place to drink.
Is the new school
There's
have
something
this?
that was overlooked.
They do not have a current
They do
range.
not.
They
They sure
proposed
say
a
they
few
do.
places that are not conducive to where it's supposed to be. So that's something that they tabled to figure out in the next 5
Well,
years.
we'll figure that out
Currently,
soon. We need a range here.
I am a teacher at the high school, and currently we are sharing with Salem Hills High School. It was not part of the
And
plan.
by the way, they're storing their cars in our parking lot.
Yes, they
Super
are.
happy.
Well, we have to be out of our classes by May 27th because they're going to start tearing the school down early.
I know.
So
I just
that
figured
will
they
be
could park
probably
into the
fixed.
school
But
somewhere.
don't yell at me.
And in my input as a professional contractor on the side as well, I think that Nebo School District would be completely crazy to shut that school down in May. So I would probably go to their school board and say, give us one more year. There's no point in fighting it. Spanish Fork has still got construction crews and they're 3 weeks in.
They do, and I'm the culinary teacher, and the culinary classroom still isn't finished for Spanish Fork, and that's another discussion for another time,
Yeah.
but we desperately need a new building. And I could give you a million reasons why we need it, and I'm so grateful that we have it, and I'm so grateful that we get it next year, even with all of the mess. And I have more mess than most people with my classroom, I'm just saying that.
I teach wood shop at Salem.
Thank you. You're exactly right. It's a subject for another time, but thank you for injecting.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
So just to follow up on that, the city does not need to have a location location for every single use if the city doesn't feel as if it's appropriate or doesn't want it. But that being said, if the city does want to see a driving school, you can potentially make an approval of these suggested changes and add your changes to that if you'd like.
So one thing that is great about these is they're always a living document. If somebody came in and requested the driving school, we could go back through this process and put it back in and find the proper place for it, depending on what the needs are at the time. So sometimes that's hard for us to remember up here. We feel like everything's ironclad, but.
Any further questions on this section? Okay. Continuing on. Nonprofit distribution center was added in the light industrial zone and taken out of the central commercial. You can see a few more additions here. Part of the council had talked with staff about reducing and eliminating heavy industry-based uses. And so that was part of our thought process of potentially eliminating things like smelting and refining within the city limits. Now, again, any of these things could potentially be changed, so.
I don't even think they could do that with the Clean Air Act, or I don't think that even qualified to be in Utah County.
So, I mean, that was some of our justification in removing this one entirely, along with the non-ferrous foundries. Paper and allied products. I don't know if anybody's been around that sort of thing, but it's very messy, it's very smelly. We felt as if that's not something we necessarily want here, but again, council can make their own choices.
That doesn't affect existing businesses. I mean, this is just paper. That wouldn't be like Temkin is a bag making company, they're all plastics.
Yeah, this is paper products.
We will not do that to them.
No, and that's why I was, well, Allied, I'm not really 100% sure what that product is. That's why I.
And any changes don't affect existing businesses or uses because they would be able to continue as non-conforming, so. Yep. A few things here. Some things were just done to clean it up. For example, aesthetics and permanent cosmetics. We just generalized some of these things instead of being more specific. Again, just trying to eliminate some of the stuff we felt was not necessarily needed. Mixed martial arts we felt could fit in as a personal fitness or training facility. That's why that's taken out. Same with the dietitian and weight loss centers. You can see this one has just been changed.
So that to a body art, that is what we kind of talked about today.
So this is what the applicant requested. It's just for this permitted in central commercial. And then staff has reviewed these various other sections and making these other suggestions. So it's the special highway service zone.
Okay.
Here we also added dietitian and weight loss centers in this area. I think we're just about through with the suggested changes. So more to come on suggested changes as the staff goes through the rest of this, but the rest is has not been addressed as far as any recommended changes. Any questions?
I like the idea of simplifying and making it easy. Let's just make sure we don't eliminate opportunities for new businesses to come to Payson as we work through some of this language. But I love the way we consolidated some of it.
I'm looking there at the stop on firearm distribution. Would that make, if Humphrey's Archery ventured out and wanted to sell firearms, they couldn't sell that in that region as well.
So
We
that,
used to have Payson Sports and Trophy right there, but I know that might have been in a different zone.
I think last time we had a review of this, we actually permitted for gunsmithing to be in central commercial. This one right here, firearm distribution, nothing is changing with that.
That's a larger scale, that wouldn't be a sporting goods store.
No, that would, yeah.
Well, I just didn't know if I just caught it, I just didn't know if it was
Well,
large
these-
scale distribution of.
Yeah, if there's something you want to change, both of these are unchanged. This is what's currently in the I-1 and I-2 zones, so that we didn't do any changes there.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, if Cal Ranch is distributing firearms through their facility here in town, that would qualify under those two, that's why I was trying to.
Yeah,
make sure.
a distributor is gonna be selling them to retail sales locations, things like that.
Okay, so it's probably not permanent. Okay, thanks.
Council, anything else? Michael, did you do both of them and we'll just have?
So yes, I went through both of them. You're welcome to ask any questions on either.
Sounds like I think the council's okay. We'll go ahead and do them separately. So I'm ready for the amendment to Title 13 zoning, Appendix A, Central Commercial. I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve that. The amendment. Yeah, do we need to add that as a caveat, or is that just a housekeeping item?
Do we need to add what? Sorry?
I'll just do it. I'll make a motion that we accept the amendments to Title 13 zoning, Appendix A, Central Commercial, with a key signifying the different region, the different zones.
We have a motion and seconded, roll call vote starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Hewitt. Yes. Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Number 3, ordinance amendments to Title 15 zoning appendix A, various sections, which we just went through. Is there a motion for that one?
Yeah, make a motion that we approve the amendments to Title 13 zoning appendix A, various sections.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded, roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt,
Yes.
Council Moss,
Yes.
Council Rowley,
Yes.
Council Hewitt.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. That brings us to F, the work session, discussion regarding power transmission line. Sean?
So that was approved.
This is just, there's no motions attached to this for information. Right?
Yeah, so we're happy to have more businesses in Payson. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you. We felt like we had an audience. We were gonna keep it captive as long as we could. No, that would be out of the ordinary. Everybody always meets.
We'll be down to get tattoos, all of us. Public record. This is awesome.
All right, anything to get right here?
Yeah, mom tattoo.
Let's do the slideshow first and then we have to get back to yellow. Sorry, Joe.
Okay, thanks for starting work session. Just first off, I want to thank Brad and Joe for being here tonight and helping with this. Brad knows a lot of technical stuff that's involved in this study that we had done by Mike Anderson, our engineer. And it shows that we have a lot of work that we need to do to help our reliability. And also if you have questions about what happened this summer, we had a few leaks go on And we can explain some of that as well, because our system's stressed. And I want to thank Joe. Joe helped with all of these awesome maps and all the information that's attached to each one. He created those and helped us with that. And so I'm really thankful to him. And then Travis, he can give you a lot of problems because of you, Joe, but just tell him to not work that. Anyway, if you look at the first couple, I guess we need the slides, Dave. Are you gonna show?
Oh, I thought you had it.
We can just start. So I give you all hard copies, but it shows the existing deficiencies. So the first page shows the 2 substations where we're very deficient as far as we don't have enough capacity right now. We're stressing those 2 substations. The next 4 pages or 3 pages show they're an element. So it's saying, okay, if this happens, what's the result? And how do we fix it? And so that's in the far right box, but you see all those over 100% that we have in there. And that's for 2023, and that's at 34 megawatts. We hit 37 megawatts this year. So we grew almost 10%. The page with the highlighted items has the projects that we need to do that are critical right now. And then over on the right, it's got the year and then the megawatts we're at. We're at 34 megawatts. So that's existing deficiencies. All of those things are going. Let's see, go forward. Okay. Go for about 5 pages. Yeah. No, one more. Actually, I didn't put this page on, the one I'm talking about right now. I got this hard copy. So, I don't think so. Let's go back to the number 1. Let's go back one more, Dave. No, forward 1. All right. So we're just showing you all the deficiencies we have in our circuits and the work we need to do. We got creative and looked at different routes that we could take. This is the number 1 page is just the first route that was proposed about 14 years ago. But we have estimated costs for that, how much we have to buy in easements. The easements are in the top that we'd have to buy along those private areas, and then we would be using the UDOT right of way. There's less corners, which is good. We also counted the houses that are affected that we go in front of all the landowners. So we have 33 there. And then we have to estimate costs. What's that?
Did you count the houses that you go behind as well?
We're staying in the front yards. So I think, I'm not sure if at the, where we cross the road there and go to the east. I can't remember. I think that's mostly front yards, yeah.
Or side yards.
Yeah. Yeah, so on the east side, it's mostly front yards, and then we had less homeowners on that first area, and then we would have to buy easements up in that triangle area, up on 5th East and that 8th South area. So you can see, we'll get to the end to see how much it is, but we got about 3.41 million we think it's going to cost. If you go to the next page, we go down the canal. We have a few hard angles there. We actually those houses, so when we counted it, there's being more houses being built right now up in that blue. If you can see that blue 90.
Is this the right page?
Down on the south one. This is number 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So this is the right one for number 2. So we were looking at going down the canal. Some of the drawbacks with going down the canal is that there is more homes, but also we have to deal with the Central Utah Water Project, the Bureau of Reclamation, SCSD, the Canal Company, and then I think Utah County Trails is going to do something too, because they're going to cover it up. And so it makes it hard for us to deal with all of them different people to get permission to do. Also that the road house a lot of areas that are pretty muddy. I guess it would get changed if all those companies or all those groups came in and started changing it, but it could be hard to work in there at different times as well.
I don't know that we should abandon it. I mean, if we put it there as an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
If it came to fruition and everything else was happening, it may make it a little cheaper if the right of ways are there. It might.
I
This,
think it'd be a miracle to get all of those government entities to align and cut through the red tape. SESD would say one thing, and then CEP would say another, and be on back and forth.
and that one currently is more money too, and we keep going. We have all sorts of ideas here that we're kind of looking at. So if you go to number 3, Route 3, we have the line, we thought, why not go down Main Street? That road's really wide, it's like 5 lanes. And so we thought, okay, well, what happens if we went down that one? There's about 71 homes, it looks like, that would be affected. And the cost is a little more. There's quite a bit of easements we would have to buy along that. And so we priced our easements, I think, was it $6 a square foot and 20 foot wide. So we tried to make them all the same. And that $6 square foot seems consistent with like the property we just purchased out by Raylock. It went for about that.
Sean, I have a question
Yeah.
on Route 2 and Route 3.
Okay.
Can you also tell us if there are already power poles on those routes?
There is power poles on Route 2 for sure. They're little, I'll send, there's pictures later on that we can show you. There's power lines actually along all of the routes. So, except for, I don't know about Main Street. I didn't drive down.
And
this
part of
morning.
Route 1.
Yeah. I think, yeah, we'll have to look. I think there's quite a few, unless there's some underground along there. So Main Street 1, number 3, we were just staying on the side and going along, where the homes are, trying to be in front yards. In fact, 71, and we're at 4.47 million, we think. It's just the more angles, the more it costs. So the straighter we can stay, it's better. Every corner costs about $250,000. In Route 4, we go down Main Street, but we thought, hey, why don't we go down the middle in the turning lane and make little islands and put poles, because they're about 300 feet apart. And I don't know, it'd be kind of interesting. It's just an idea we had. We thought it kind of looked like a trolley system maybe or something. I don't know. It'd be like right down the middle, and then it wouldn't be in anyone's yard, right? And we would have the easement, which would be cool because we'd own that land, but we'd have to pay for all those islands. We have to build them up a bit so that cars could hit the poles and knock them out, which would, would be bad.
This would be which part of Main Street?
The part up by the baseball diamonds is where it would start. So it's up a ways. It's just an idea, it's something to think about.
Well, and then you wouldn't have to. Easements in people's property.
Exactly. We would have it right down the middle. We just have to build those islands. And when we talk Travis.
Does that affect anything under the ground though? When you're. No, I'm just saying that if you ended up right over the top of the sewer line, that's not going to.
Yeah, the sewer's typically in the center of the road.
Yeah.
Which is probably where it would be,
How deep? We can drill a little. We're gonna drill, we're gonna do foundations up above. I don't know, it's just an idea.
Well, we often get accused, and we were accused of that tonight, not thinking ahead and
Yeah.
considering other
Well-
options. So I'm glad you're considering.
Well,
other
it was funny, I was looking for examples, I couldn't find any, so I was like, maybe that's not a good idea, but then, I was able to find islands, and then they had these power pole diverter things that make cars bounce and go around, but then, yeah, I don't know, it's just interesting, we'll get to those slides here. Number 5, we went down 8 and over by Walmart. There was a plan to do that a ways back and maybe build one substation down by Walmart. Our goal is we still have to get to the south part of town in order to support all that development that's going on in the southeast part of town. It's up on the hill, to keep the voltages up. So we have to get to that general vicinity. We can't stop with this substation likely only at Walmart. So,
That's-
and we need a
that's
loop,
twice as
but
much, but if we added a substation for Western Growth, we could include that in
Yes.
our impact fees.
yeah,
As if we need this is part of it, so
Yeah.
we get up the impact fees, new people would be paying for it out west.
And they
And
would know
that,
that
there's a
they're-
lot more buildable area where you're going. So to me, I know the number is twice as much, but it
Yeah.
makes way more sense to me to build out where the power is more usable for future use than it is to stick it up against the mountain and fight everything else.
But Sean, am I right in saying we will eventually want a loop somewhere?
This is making a loop.
possibly, we might want to,
No, this is
we
not
might
making
want
a
to,
It's starting it.
yeah,
It starts with a loop.
yeah,
but
it's
we want another
it's an
one.
option.
I like this one. I know it's more expensive, but also it's, people will know that they have those those power lines and those power poles in that area already.
But Eighth South isn't like a little tiny street
No,
either.
it's a big one, busy.
And eight south is owned by UDOT, it's not our street.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to get over, from the southern end over to the west side of the highway and loop up with our other transmission line, but we may want to also have one in the middle at some point, for more, even more. So, but, yeah, this one had, not as many homes as some of the others affected, and, a lot of it would be easement to buy, which would be nice to own that stuff, but it is expensive. So,
One thing about this one, if you want to cut out three corners through the DeHart property, man, it's not developed, so we could go straight through and get right away instead of going four angles.
You have to consider the school is gonna be going in there also.
all right,
It's
thank
not-
you.
Yeah, I don't think it'd hit the
Right
school
along
line.
property or school line.
It'd be below the school line.
Well, the next one shows it going out to the freeway and going all the way around the DeHart property.
Actually, it's right here.
Yeah, we tried to stay on the property lines, when we were looking at the, plot maps and also avoid the school, like Joe was saying. I mean, it's quite a bit more money, but I mean, the benefit of, out there is you don't own easements. And that's a nice thing, where you get the right of way for free if you're on UDOT stuff, but owning easements is a good thing.
To Brett's point with the impact fees, would those impact fees be so high, we wouldn't be able to hurdle them? I mean, that's.
I don't know, so our
What would
impact.
you do it?
Our impact fees right now are created from all of the projects that we have in and their estimates. And this would be higher, so it would have to pull it up. Because we weren't estimating this substation transmission route costing this much. But so that, if that answers your question, it would have to move them up. And I think we only right now currently have about 2.1 million sitting in impact fees right now that we can use towards anything, which doesn't sound big when you're doing it towards these projects.
Would that impact be just?
It would, but what I'm saying is that's the whole thing gone of our current bowl of money, and then we need more growth to get in more impact fees.
So would that be area specific for the impact fees, or would that be?
Well, yeah, citywide, and our engineer attributed percentages on, so I'm not sure, this page right here. This shows the percentages that can be attributed from impact fees to the projects from growth. And so most of them are, pretty heavy on that, 50% to 75, 80% can come from impact fees. We just have to get them, if that's.
A project has to be in your impact fee, and that's all you can spend on it. You
Yeah.
can't, unless you amend your report.
So prior it has to be.
Have to amend our.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
you went
just-
from 3 million to 9 million on one project, you would have to amend your report, which would obviously raise your impact fees.
Yeah.
As well as.
Citywide?
Just for, power, for our power one, we would have to do. Yeah.
Citywide.
Yeah, and so we just rose it with our projects in, but we didn't have this at this level in there, so it would raise it.
This route, you have to go up and then back down 12,000 down to the west, across the freeway, and that's where the next location for the substation. The substation is Spring Lake, that will take care of most of that DeHart area.
Oh, so you're saying go follow 8 south down and over Red Bridge, come around behind Red Bridge and then back over.
Through this route.
To me, that doesn't seem like it's a lot more money. We can follow the train.
No, he's saying around the south end, and then go down 12,000.
12,000.
Yeah.
Then cross the freeway, somewhere down 12,000.
Yeah.
And there is no way Mark Nehart would let you go through his property like that.
Well, when he sells it, somebody's
So,
gonna, right, not right now.
Yeah, this has to be done
Well,
very quickly.
I'm looking at 6 and wondering, I've kind of jumped to 6.
Oh, you jumped to 6.
Yeah. Well, I see a bunch of turns, like, why?
Oh,
don't we
that-
follow
I
the
think that
freeway
one-
Down and catch bigger roads. I know this isn't gonna sit well with, Brian's wife, but we could go right in front of his house with the same line and eliminate that one notch.
Oh, are you talking about right here?
Yeah,
on
down in
that?
the bottom left corner.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of wire, it's the same amount of pole, but we're using UDOT easements
Oh.
versus cutting back up through and putting big towers in neighborhoods next to the temple and around the
The
elementary
issue with
school.
that, with following UDOT right away, is that 12,000 is not annexed yet. So we're just annexed to Brian's property. One property west.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that our master plan can't show it that way, unless we're planning to do this next week.
The master plan has to show it that way, because then you're probably gonna have wider roads, so then we're gonna be out in the property farther.
And this is something we need done before we annex
Any more
that
property.
property.
I think we need to go 12,400 and do it in Spring Lake City, so just put it down through the middle of Spring Lake City.
I can hear him boiling the tar and plucking the chicken.
Well, that'll happen in any route, actually. That'll definitely happen, down the route, down 198, because we already went through this and the city dropped the ball on getting it done. Nobody was here at that time. Not that made decisions, but, we learned a lot of stuff when we were looking at all this, and property values go down. I don't want to cost our residents that have been here a long, long time their property values. And that's the problem. And some people dispute this, but there are health problems when you are that close to high voltage power lines. There are also difficulties in getting home loans if you're that close to a power line. It's an extremely difficult situation, and I know that there are homes affected on all the routes, but there are some homes that didn't have any power poles at all. Like for me, if there was a power pole behind the house that I live in right now, I wouldn't have bought it. And so we've already got a lot of residents mad at the city all the time, no matter what we do, but I don't wanna give them another reason. We need to really, really think about this and not just go because, oh, it's the cheapest, because it will also impact a lot of people that are middle class to low class, to lower class, that cannot afford property values.
Let's show some, more. Can we show some more pictures? So let's go to the next one.
Is there a chance we could get the Forest Service to let go through their land? Because then you hardly have any houses.
You
along
might
that.
go not want to do that. So Pacific Core right now is going bankrupt. And that's why the rates are going up 30%. And we don't, I don't think we want the city.
We don't want to be over any line of brush of.
No. So this has the totals, the last page, so you can look it over and compare each one, the houses affected and the price. And then let's go to the next slide. I just took pictures of different things. This is on the canal. It shows SESD's distribution line there, sitting out on the corner. They're crisscrossing back and forth all the way down that. So go to the next one, Dave. We might have to build island type things in order to sort of support poles if we were to go down the canal. This is SESD's line going down through the houses back to 198 from the canal through all the backyards. Let's go to the next slide. This is the 46 kV from Rocky Mountain Power. It's a pretty ratty line. This comes down towards the south end of where we would want to be, and we would have to cross them somehow. And go to the next one.
Is that the poles you're kind of looking at? If you go back one, is that kind of what you're looking?
I would,
Big
well,
metal
it
pole?
depends where they're located.
No, that's not the pole.
Yeah.
But it-
I, Yeah, I'd rather have steel.
So kind of like all the other tracks, like that.
But they're gonna be a single pole
Single
or?
pole.
Yeah. So let me just go to the next one. This one is,
Eiffel Towers. Yeah.
kind of a corner and then it goes off through the trees. This is Rocky Mount Power. But we would have to go downwards a little bit later than this, down to 198 again, if we're to do substation there. This is down by, this is the pole down by the racetrack sub. And this is Payson pole. It's steel, galvanized with insulators close. It's pretty streamlined. It's right in front of houses right now. Let's go to the next one.
We can't go underground with this, right?
You can, it's 5 times more, 6 times more.
How
You
much would
you
it
can
cost-
do whatever you want.
How much would it cost just for an extension cord and we'll just use it when we really, really need it?
This is Spanish Fork Canyon Road. And I just went down there and started taking pictures of power poles. This 46 kV, the communications line down below it. And this is in front yards. This is through Mapleton. This is by a park. This 46 kV line that goes in Fee Springville. I like these a lot. I like the
I
less
like
colored
those.
ones.
Those aren't really offensive to me. The one on the left, that you can't see in your.
Now that's a fence, that's the 345 line that's got all the flaking on it that goes through that corridor. So they usually put 345 on, usually have parks and stuff, but they're building houses right under it right now, which is wild. Go to the next one, please, Dave.
So those,
So-
John, those are like some of the poles we would get.
You can decide what you,
Pre-rusted and.
if you wanted.
And how tall?
Those are about 70 feet tall, 65, 70 feet tall.
And how much is the easement you're requesting for residential lots?
I think we could do it on 15 feet or maybe even
Before they were
10.
asking for 10-foot easements.
Yeah.
So you won't-
How much, I don't know, this is a tricky thing that I've kind of noticed that the people of old did, no offense to them, but like, my front yard isn't really mine. If you go out there and look at where my property markers are, there's 15 feet of my front property, they could come through with a D10 cat, flatten it out that fast. Because it's not mine, it belongs to the city, and is there any of that out there that's the same way?
I don't know, where I live, it's out in the middle of the road.
You pay property tax on it.
Yeah, and the right of way, I mean, if they decided to widen that road, that's one thing that we kind of, wow, because they'll have to put out houses and stuff, kind of like they did in Warren.
The right of way is a lot wider than what we use.
Yep. So like, I mean, it's 20 feet between the edge of the front curb to my markers.
What's
Brent says he wants it down.
I have the
to
same
yard.
thing in
Yeah.
my, on my.
Well, I'm just saying that maybe we don't have to buy as much right of way if we already own that. I know that's not gonna look good. I'm over here, they're boiling the tar for me now, but at the same time, sometimes
I'm
that's.
not sure on that.
The newer subdivisions don't have that. Other parts of town do, but I would tenfold rather have this power line through my front yard than the telephone wires that go through my backyard.
Me too, because I'm a little guy, I can almost touch my telephone.
Yeah,
Well,
they
they had to
hang
come,
down.
I called them one day, that I had a rose bush, it pulled mine down, it was only 8 feet off the ground.
But we're not talking about telephone poles.
No, well,
We're
that's,
talking about power poles.
I'm talking
where
power
it's a
and
lot more
easement.
power.
but it sits right in my driveway. I've got one in the middle there and then it goes across my property in the back and.
But
So-
you purchased your house with that. There are people that have purchased their homes without any poles
Let's go
also.
to a couple others and just look at these and.
Along 198, some
So
people's
this is-
backyards are a lot shorter.
This
or a
is
lot narrower.
BJ Daimler's house that he sold. He sold it for 1.1 million. And he's got that power pole right there in the middle of his court, like the whole half of his yard. And then moving away. So he was a lineman for Payson. That one goes over the swimming pool over there and through the schoolyard. That's same where he said. What's crazy, oh, that one's what we don't want. I just thought that'd be fun to put in. I was just gonna say, if you guys want to do Main Street, we can do this. Go right down the
We
middle.
already have some of those for a while.
That's what we had SDST.
We don't want that, so go to the next one. That, I was thinking islands, something, maybe even taller ones, and then go to the next one. And that's the bouncer thing that moves cars around the power pole base, so. Just little ideas.
I could see worse. I like the idea of having the redundancy in the power, and it's looking like it needs to be done, but it's.
We're in bad trouble. So, we've been having bumps on circuit 730. We're hitting over 450 amps, and so our relays have been kicking us. And so the Temple, Mormart, and them guys went out a few nights. And so we're at a crucial level here that we have to get something, a substation down there, and we have to get transmission down there somewhere.
What about like the little devices that interrupt the air conditioners? No.
Demand, you can do,
Smart devices.
yeah, you can buy programs to do that. That buys you a little, if people are willing to sign up. And you can control them, shut off their power.
No, thanks.
And cycle them.
Okay, so I want you all to know, I want it on record that I wasn't suggesting it. I was showing people that there are alternatives that are worse.
One thing that,
You guys are out the woods.
one thing I'd like to mention, and I totally understand your thought about, the depreciation of people's yards. But it sounds like that if you can't get electricity stabilized to their houses, that's gonna decrease their property value as well. Because if you can't depend on the electricity, it's always gonna be interrupted. People are not gonna buy it.
That's not gonna convince people to say, okay.
No, but I'm just saying, running that thought.
I hear you, but none of this is, some of it will be emotion, but we shouldn't
Discount.
We shouldn't discount it
No.
because people are passionate about their homes and their property. There will be numbers, there will be facts that there's another fact. I don't want to negatively impact residents here that came here and moved here, myself included, knowing what I was buying. And then all of a sudden, oh, the city failed. But they did about 10, 12 years ago. They said that they would go along one of these other routes, and then they dropped the ball. And that could open the city up for lawsuits if you encroach on people's properties.
We're gonna have to
After
do it
the city
somewhere though.
dropped.
Brian's over here saying half of these go right in front of my house.
Well, and some of that, maybe you say the city dropped the ball, and maybe they did.
They did.
But it could have been a cost issue that the city could
It would
afford.
have been a lot cheaper than now.
Sean, I have a couple of questions for you. So because they're gonna be, no matter what route you're gonna have to get some right of ways. Can you do eminent domain for getting the places you need to put these power poles in?
Yes. That's usually the route you
Okay.
end up having to do,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yeah, usually, so they just put a line through Spanish Fork, and it went down through, the old Canyon Road, down by the cemetery, down through the river bottoms and past the rec center, and it's coming up that hill. And they're doing a 138 kV line, which is bigger, and they paid everyone and bought the easements in their front yards, and they had like 150 customers that, they were able to have an engineering group go through and give them offers, and they all have done it. And so we're having a line for the SUVPS group built between Taylor substation, which is out on I-15, and the Spanish Fork Canyon substation to make reliability. But you have to do something if you want power. And I don't know, I mean, ideally, if you had a bunch of frontage roads and they were commercial, then that would be awesome, and you could go along them.
So another question for you. I like going down the canal, but but I know all the entities you'd have to work. What's the timeline that this needs to be completed really, or is it today or
10 years ago.
or 3
It should have
years?
been done before.
So we probably really don't have the time to get all the entities lined up on the canal. That's probably what you're saying.
No, and you'll create like right now, so SUVPS has been trying for 25 years to have the Bureau of Reclamation give the easements over to them for the power lines. And it had to go through Congress. And so you're even adding more entities into this by dealing with it. So,
You also think about maintenance, getting the big heavy bucket trucks down that dirt canal road in the winter. That'd be tricky.
yeah, it's really mushy and stuff. Me and Brad have drove up there and just, not even in the winter, I think it was like in November, and you're skating around a bit, in a pickup truck even. And so, yeah, I
I
don't.
don't think that's a reason to not.
I would love to see
No.
Route 7.
The agencies will agree.
What's that?
I'd love to see a Route 7 and 8. So I like the idea of going all the way down 8 south, and if we needed to, catching out past Red Bridge because of the development. You've got White Horse Construction doing all that stuff out there. There's a big 5-lane highway that's supposed to be west of the freeway. So that technically wouldn't be something that would be out of the question. We are dealing with the issue of it not being annexed in right now. So that would be, Route 7 would be how far can we actually get with what we've got? And Route 8 would be what could we possibly do if we annexed those other areas? We know
So
they're
you're talking about south of Red Bridge. We do need to put a substation out there, but just for that area.
Well, this is a work session. This is.
Yeah, you can,
right?
oh, yeah.
Brett, that, what you need to do. So there's gotta be up to that substation.
We need something in the south.
So I'm saying just come right down here and then you're gonna catch, there's this big road that's supposed to come down. We've got too much.
Wait a second, I'm catching up with you. Hold
And
on.
so it come back this way. So I'm just saying, why not take it out of here and run it down these new roads that we're gonna put, it's just pasture is really where it is.
This pen's beautiful, but the paper's not made.
Does that make sense? So I'm saying, we're coming down here, we're going through all of this area, we've got tons of new roads down here.
Yeah, but it doesn't make a loop. We gotta.
No, I can.
Oh.
So.
We gotta get somehow.
Yeah.
And around where you put a tricky thing, but
Power lines coming out here as well, but we need to somehow.
I like Route 1, I like Route 5 myself, because it's
Because
down
we're
busy
busy
roads
roads
already.
out here as well.
And,
We need some.
as far as number of homes affected, Route 1's a lot less than all the others.
Can I say something? Cause I
Please, yeah.
Okay, so do I have to come in? There's no camera on?
No.
So this is why I came tonight. So I live at Route 1 and I wanna tell you the experience I had with power lines. While we were trying to find a home in Payson, there was really tall power lines like what you showed, so I didn't even notice it was there when I stepped out of my car to look at this home in Mapleton. I first noticed the noise. Like, what the crap is that noise? It's hurting my head. And my realtor said, oh, it's the power lines, and he pointed them out. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't make it 5 minutes inside that home. I never even went into the basement. I went into the front room, into the kitchen, because I started to feel nauseous. I was going to throw up in that home. I had to get out because of how the power lines made me feel.
You were under those really big, the 345s?
They weren't, they were just a little bit bigger than the ones that you were showing us.
Yeah,
The
there's
biggest
like
ones
two
that you were showing us.
138s running through there and a 345 that are, that 345 may hum. That's one, I probably wouldn't want to live under that one, but other ones, I've
So,
been around the other.
I know you're just saying, just now, Rolly just said that the cheapest way is down the highway. Well, that's where I live.
Hmm.
And when I started Googling things and getting on realtor website,
Yeah.
the number one reason, the only reason why they say that it's a good thing to have power lines, and I know you said that that house got sold for $1 million, but on average, it's between 30 and 40% decrease in your homeowner value. And I would have to move because I physically couldn't handle living next to one of those power lines. And then we start seeing articles of, not in Utah, but in other places where because of the power lines, people can't sell their house and then they become abandoned and then it's a crap fest for the community. And we don't want that either. I know there's lots of controversy with the EMS. I'm not gonna get into that. But it is a nuisance. I even started talking to a lawyer. What if we can't stop this coming in by my house? And he's like, well, you have a nuisance case. You could sue the city. I don't want to do that. I would probably move before I did that because that's a lot of money, but there could be a case. The lawyer I spoke to works for Salt Lake City. So that's another issue. So when you're talking about the canal and how it's gonna be muddy and stuff, well, the canal from the pictures from what I see has enough distance on both sides.
The canal, the muddiness is not the problem. He just was talking about 25 years and now just one agency to get it right.
But I'm also, I am thinking about the power guys too, you know, maintenance isn't important.
It does.
But it's, we have about 3 or 4 different agencies we'd have to coordinate with and.
Right, and I understand that.
That
I
would
just
be the
wanted to
time.
tell you my feelings.
Sure.
now. Like, I
Sure.
get that this needs to be done. We
Well,
all in here wish
we
this
all know.
would have been solved 10 years ago when it got voted down by all of the people in the first place. And it's gonna cause problems, like I get that, but as a homeowner, a city member, I would really appreciate it if you did, even if it was more expensive, to go down 800 south and go across and then come back up. Over there where it hasn't been built, we're going along the canal where homes haven't been. To me, that's where, you know, like you say in Spanish.
There are a lot of homes.
There's more homes on the canal.
So,
We did
But
actually
it's
affect more
further
homes.
away from the homes. It's
No,
not
the
putting them in
canal.
their front
We'd
yard.
can't
be,
use
we'd be
that
right on
either.
their backyard.
On the
They also
canal.
have poles over there already.
Yeah.
The
Right, which
canal,
is what they're used to.
the
But I'm
canal
not-
would be in the backyard.
I'm not going off of price, I'm looking at homes affected, because those residents, like you said, it does.
But they matter too.
What?
They matter too.
Yeah, they matter too. That's what I'm
Absolutely. So
saying.
that's what I'm saying.
No, he's
33
he's saying
versus,
that 33 versus
All of them.
71, Route 3 has the very most people affected.
and when we go down with even those other routes that, you know.
Down
over
800, they
50,
already have poles. So those people
50.
already knew that they would have poles there in their yard when they moved there. That's
That's
the
one of my
difference
points
too.
too.
You have to take that into consideration too. There are people that will say, no, I don't wanna move somewhere because of a power pole. If they're already there with a power pole, then it's not as bad.
What are the size of the ones on 50s? Is there
There's
SASDs?
60 and 65 there.
Yeah, what's the voltage on them though?
Same voltage, 46.
46K.
And it's on both
I
sides.
live a half a block from those, and I honestly didn't even notice they were there until
See, some people notice. it's
I've got
not
it.
front lawn, that's not front yard.
When that
it's
line-
in their neighbor's front yard, but it's not in my front yard. But it's also on top of a 30-foot hill, and so they're a long ways up there. But
Sean, how do we make power wireless?
Tesla had
That
to
would be
figure it out.
awesome.
You probably get more EMF.
Yes, you would.
Yeah. You know, it's a tricky decision, so we've done it.
Everyone wants power, but they don't want.
I think the consensus from the council is run it down 8 south and get it out there. I personally would run it out there farther, but
Where would you go? We gotta get somehow to this southeast area.
well, don't all the routes make
If
it
we,
there.
if we
still
pay
need
for the
southeast.
easements, if we go down eight,
He
go
went
through
through that.
Could you take some of it underground?
Can you do, yeah, part above and part below?
the cost. It's
So about
46.
what the CUP project would be here, about a 12 to 15-foot trench deep, and then you've got to encase it in concrete. And that conductor I have priced for a while with like $127 a foot.
How do you fix underground power lines if there's an issue? You dig it all
Going
out?
out, you have more boxes, you have to have larger boxes. More often, about every 600 feet. I haven't looked at them for a while, but an 8 to 10 foot by 10 foot box is slice that in.
The gas company does that all the time.
It's kind of interesting though,
Yeah,
because
it's a little different than like
if
this.
EMF is the problem,
Maybe more.
you're still gonna have that with underground.
You are, that's why.
Yeah, and so,
But as far as fixing, how often do you have to fix underground opposed to above ground? What's that?
There's, with this high voltage, there's problems with the cable, on the cable.
So
people,
it's about 50, 50, 50?
I wouldn't dare say what it'd be at.
we'd have to
What you have to-
Well,
contact.
but it's been done before, hasn't it?
In a few
It's
spots,
been buried
never,
before.
never a major. I
Not
don't
in
know
the
of any
west.
That's been longer than probably. Anywhere between that. I'm sure it's done in other places.
It is so much cheaper to put in the air.
Yeah, and you can see it.
It's,
Well,
it's
there's
a
water and gas
hard,
underground too.
hard
sewer.
decision.
So I have a question for you. So on the, I know you, on this map, everything stays within the city boundaries. Does it have to stay within city boundaries or can you get approval from the county?
Where that ran into problems last time is a lot of people would say.
And a lot of the property on the west of I-15 right here is already in ag protection.
So this is the way I see it. I think it's better to go down 800 south because we have to put a power station over there on the west side of town anyway.
Does Route 2, is that like, do we need that power line up there for something, or is it just to get from the racetrack substation to the Spring Lake substation? We don't ever tap off of it anywhere between. These are straight shots.
It's straight shot, but then you take all your distribution from there, so you would service with distribution that whole southeast area and keep your voltage up, and so that's the problem we're having is we're taxing out, the racetrack right now, and
substations
industrial
we have.
across on the other side.
We have the racetrack service on 800 South. And Canyon Road, and that's the closest one all the way down to 1950. So that's about a mile in the valley. That circuit, feedback, one. You come around there and feedback.
So I'm just like advocating that getting the lines, let's plan ahead. If we're looking at it, it's a lot of money and it is more money, but if we put one out, I can never
We're gonna do
remember
it
roads,
anyway.
but eight south in the Red Bridge area to put a substation right there and then to
That's
go
in the
up.
plan.
That's in our.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying, why can't we run this one to there and then just put these 4 big substations and go and connect
That's the plan.
without, but do we need to
Going
get
straight
across
through
right
town.
here? We don't need to go here if we go out and around the other way, right?
You still have to. wait for the new system that's reliable.
So we still want the redundancy,
If
so
you have
later
a-
on down the road, this one right here,
If you have a double circuit, so if that pole gets wiped out, then that takes out the reliability. So if you have both your loop that's on the same pole, doing like you're saying.
Yes.
Coming up 12,000, and then let's say I hold it like highway 12,000, and that takes out the whole Q transmission. So that's why you try to have them redundancy and separate it on poles. So that you have the capability of back feeding without taking down.
well, I think maybe I'd like to see more of the whole spectrum that says, hey, this is, I understand that if we're gonna do Route 6 to appease citizens and in that direction, that's great and all, but if all that's doing is putting a Band-Aid on it, you know, until 6 years from now, and the next council is gonna come in and say, hey, we're now pushing 40,000 people in this town, and we need to put route back in, I can't read them, let's put it like Route 2 or Route 1, because we've gotta have it anyway. I don't wanna, get what I'm saying? I want to plan ahead, I wanna see all the cards on the table and say, this is the best hand to play.
And that's what the plans are. You wanna do a loop or?
So you're talking Route 6 and 2 regardless of, it's just a timing issue.
Exactly. It would be nice to have that all the way down through 12,000, all the way across the freeway. Go across the freeway, hit the Taylor area, and go north, follow that Rocky Mountain, get back to our substation, Utah, and come back to Utah.
What if we went up Canyon Road and horizontally bored across? We talked about underground, but when you're underground, I mean, there's a big difference between the straight line from Canyon Road to the canal isn't nearly as far as it is up over the top of
The
that
thing
mountain.
with the canal issue that we run, like Sean pointed out, there's a lot more houses. You're gonna be in the backyards of all them houses. And then the access is where the problem is on the canal. If the DOR don't give us access along that canal.
I wasn't saying run it down the canal, I'm saying run it up, go up 6 east up the canyon and then bore through the mountain.
But then you risk putting the poles in the forest area.
All I'm saying is I want all the cards on the table, so that when the conversation comes up, well, these are the
Bore,
options.
right now, the bore is 6-inch conduit, I just, the boring price for Travis, is $58 a foot, 1 6-inch. So just the bore alone, is roughly $100 a foot. The bore.
And now, for our overhead,
And then the conduit, and then you pull wire in, conductor in after that, like I said.
so you're $150.
You price that, the
I
conductor,
underpriced it.
because, so they went through this battle kind of up in Heber, coming from Jordanelle area over to Heber, and they ended up going overhead, because a lot of people didn't want to see the power lines. And so they wanted to go that way, but it was like 4 or 5 times more expensive.
So like, we talked about, you didn't want to be on board, I'm just throwing options out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know me,
I
like I said,
think-
just
I
get the
think you
box to
guys-
fit around my thinking and we're all okay.
I think you guys have presented good plans. I mean, I don't think we need to have 300 different options to get money down, but, you know, if Route 1's just gonna be a quick Band-Aid and that's really not the thing to do, then I'm okay exploring Route 5 or 6. What does it look like as far as, going down 8 South? That's a UDOT road. What does that look like for easements and?
I think we could probably do it down 8 South, but then when we turn down there by,
There's easements in place all
Right, well,
around
right.
Payson Creek Road, and that's pretty easy.
We were, yeah, and then we have to get easements on the rest of it.
But we do acknowledge that that impacts more residents and does cost
Route
a
one or
lot
two-
more.
Route 1 or 2 isn't a bad thing. That's
No.
practice most.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
And that's not a Band-Aid, that's part of that system where then you go further west. and then back.
I feel like going Route 2 is not a good idea because of all the involvement with all the other entities and what's going on. And we'd still be in people's
It'd be a
yards.
headache thing. It costs a lot more than we think too. Yeah, this is a tricky thing. We've got to balance what's best for the whole city and also those people that
I
it
mean, if we had
impacts
a
today.
frontage road that went next to the highway all the way here to
Yeah.
12,000, that we could come back and hit this area with, then that would work. And then we could go back down 12,000 west and come back out. But we have to make it.
My side as a city, why can't we?
We live in
In that
area
direction, and put it in
198.
the master plan as a frontage road. I don't see a downside to that. That area right there, the way it's filling in is there is no main thoroughfares through there. So to run one parallel to the freeway, I mean, it's not one that we'd have to build, you put it in there and then the developers would have to do it
But
as
we
they
need
went.
it now.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
we'd
what
have
I
to
mean.
buy the right of way between, I would say between the frontage road and the freeway, you would put that, I'm just, I just want a
No, that'd be
conversation.
an
but-
awesome route.
And
if
that's
we
why I
could
got
have it.
Travis here. It'd be nice if you could go down and instead of, you could go down and catch.
Cause you could come back and come loop back over to that area on 12,000, then go back. But Brian told me, didn't you say there's a 24-inch gas line across the street from you?
12,000, right in this.
Yeah, and that one's kind of scary. I don't know if they'll let us build next to it.
There's 2 high pressure lines on that.
Yeah,
One on each side.
so we'd have to talk with them and see what their rules are, how close.
So Sean, when is the drop dead date that you need a decision by?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, sounds like that.
Well, we're having problems, and so, I mean,
Our demand's going up.
Reliability right now is.
it's really scary.
So I
We
know
can
that
outlaw
all the,
electric cars in the city of Payson.
I know that all the residents along 198, I know that there were even some residents more south than my neighborhood that I wasn't even involved in, fought really, really hard, almost harder than we did.
Yeah.
The roads are
And I don't
And
know what.
but 198
we-
has already fought this fight.
One thing about 198 is those southern people that you're talking about, they're SDSD customers, and we have to hook them up within 5 years as
Yeah.
well, somehow. And so that's another issue, and that.
I'm just saying that people along 198 have already been
Yeah.
on through this fight really, really hard. Every single person along 198 signed petitions and filled this
Yeah.
room
So what do
to
you
fight
think
against
I
it
should do?
and trusted that the city would go down 800 instead, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna be involved here. But
Yeah, and I don't want
just
to
so
get
you
bad
know.
feelings, or I don't know what to do, I'm sitting here.
I know,
going,
it's
we're gonna
hard.
fail, we're gonna out of power, and you guys are gonna be.
all of Payson is our backyards.
I know, but I'm saying, because we know the people on the 33 homes affected on SR 198, but then we go down all these other routes, there's other people that.
More houses.
And so it's
But
just.
they
it's
have,
just
but
not
we've
fair.
already,
It's not in my
33
backyard,
homes
but
have
it's-
already said we don't want it there.
Right.
And I
I
don't
mean,
want it
and they
there
might,
either.
they might come and say the same thing, and I feel for them really, but
But
those
it's
33
okay
homes,
that they.
no, it's not okay.
That's just the tricky balance. we
It
have
is
to-
tricky, I get it, but I'm here
No.
to say we've already said no, and I know you guys weren't the ones there at the time on the city council, and so that kind of sucks that you get the fallout from that, but.
Yeah.
The plan was to
And the
go
next one's
forward.
gonna get it from us too, so.
But keep in mind, a lot of these other routes, they already have poles there, so they're already used to it.
So I guess what we
think
need
there's-
probably is staff's recommendation to come back to us and we make.
Is there any other information you want?
Do you want more count poles maybe down the routes? Or
Like
we
where
can
you
count
put
who's
them,
already got poles?
like where you put them, that might help.
Yeah, the ones I showed were
Figure that out.
300 feet spacing. And if you get engineered poles, you can go a little farther, make a place where it's more convenient too.
Like in a church parking lot. so
Yeah, well, that's why we
somebody's car.
cross the road on number 1. If you see that crossover, that goes next to the church.
And is
On
the
the
church,
side.
is the church okay with
I don't know, there is a right of way. We're just trying
We
to
don't know
make
till we
something
ask.
that's
Yeah.
effective and,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, we're trying to provide you power, but it could get to a point,
And I
and
understand.
you guys will wanna roast me, but we've,
If it's on UDOT's right away, we don't need you close to church. It's just where you can, that's one of the, I guess,
Benefits.
benefits of
yeah.
staying on UDOT, because they're pretty good at granting easements.
Yeah, I've already talked with them and
Yeah,
they're
there's been
really been
some
pretty good with me.
The majority of them along SR 198 will be.
So with engineered poles, how far can you go between poles?
The ones that I showed you were 300. I'm not sure how far we could get, like I'm not sure like what the, you know, height versus distance and how stout the pole is. And we could look at those options.
Footings are.
Yeah, we can look at those options.
Yeah, you could look at that and see how much the cost would be to have engineered, so we go 400 or something feet. Because part of the part, and then maybe you can show where you think the poles would be. I think that would help on something.
We have a map, but yeah, I think we actually changed it to go along this route, kind of jog it up a little. But if we can do that, try and do it more.
I think it would help if you guys could, you know, we got 6 of them, 7 of them that we're looking at right now, 6. To narrow it down to some that, you know, you recommended and tell us why you
Yeah,
recommend.
well, I mean, I recommend because of price, because we would have to change, you know, but I don't want to hurt anyone. So I don't know what to do. You know, I'm sitting there going, I want to help everyone. And
yeah, I know.
this route, it's the most straightforward route.
Oh, we need to give them this and that. It's like they both work.
Who's talking?
Somebody online.
Yeah. Well, it is Brad's birthday, so I'll give him. Yeah.
We mute him. Okay, he's muted.
Hey, I can check on the high pressure, gas lines.
Yeah.
How close you could be, I'll check that for you.
Okay.
Do you work for the-
Do you work for
He works for
MWP?
Enbridge.
For Enbridge.
I know they're there, 'cause I watched them.
Yeah, it's at
But how close?
Mountain West Pipeline is,
Yeah,
you know,
ours.
We just dealt with them with the Blackhawk subdivision, because we had to bring sewer out there, and they were very, very adamant on their distance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
We actually had to encase the water because they wouldn't give us enough spacing, so putting a power line in.
what did they
Because
say?
with gas,
to
you
you?
can blow
Like,
up.
what was your distance?
My house.
That's what they did. So on 1600 South, and did you deal with that in Springville? So on 1600 South in Springville, they had some stations and they made them put power lines on the other side of the road against the houses. So I don't know, you know, on the north side of the road.
I'll just check the distance for you.
What's that?
I'll just find out what distance.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool.
Okay, I think we've. kind of
Yeah,
messed the hell out of
I
this.
need,
You got a
I
lot
need
of
your
help.
help though, because it's to the point, you know,
That's something we need, but it's a hard decision.
yeah, it's a hard decision. It's something we really, really need. I don't know how else to emphasize it. We're in trouble.
And it affects
So-
people no matter which route we decide.
Yeah.
So real quick here, can I come back?
Yeah.
This racetrack substation, you've got a dark green line that says Payson substation on, it wouldn't matter which map it is. So is that dark green? It's a 46 kV
Yes, line.
existing line that's
Yes.
already there.
Yes.
So that might be worth looking at and
Yeah.
going and seeing if you get the frequencies off of it
Yeah,
and maybe go check it.
it's over.
We really, I don't.
It's in that dip that goes over, there was a housing development. just-
Behind
I'll
the
bring you a
pool,
map.
the pool and the.
Where the baseball diamonds are.
But I do appreciate you coming in now and not 2 weeks after we open the road to yell at us. Thank you.
And I just have one more.
That it scares me that you didn't come close to my house like that.
And I just have one more thing. So
You'll show
the
me where
people
you live
along,
when
the people along 198 have made their feelings known and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
numbers and all that stuff. There is no other route that has been asked. We don't know how people down 1-800, down 800 feel. We have no idea.
No, we don't.
So,
They have distribution right now, but they don't have transmission down there.
but we do know, we loud and
And what's
clear.
the watt difference on that? The
It's 12,750 for the, distribution, and then your 47 thousand
About
for,
4 times as much.
yeah, but it's higher. I've worked my whole life under, maybe I'm gonna die. My dad always tells me I am, because I work in a power plant around generators. I've had all sorts of people tell me, I could suck in. You're
I know
gonna
it's
do this
right.
and that. I've
Caused
spent
you to grow
the
hair.
last
He's
30
glowing.
years. And I'm not that smart because of it, maybe, but I don't know. I'm just like.
Bring it up, you brought it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But some people are affected by it and some people aren't, just like
Yeah.
some people are affected by gluten and some people aren't.
Yeah.
But it can be pretty serious.
It's usually around transformers, you hear around transformers, but generally, the smaller lines, you don't. I imagine you would if you're under a really big one, that's an interstate transmission line, the one, a real big one through Mapleton, but anyway.
Okay.
Well, Sean, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. Appreciate it.
I'll second that motion.
Gonna make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I already seconded it.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.